107.5 WBLS, your number one source for R&B.
107.5 WBLS, The Quiet Storm, with a beautiful lady out of Brooklyn. Her name is Rosie Perez, and she has this hot book called Handbook of an Unpredictable Life. It officially came out yesterday.
Yes.
And it is available, and it is juicy, and it is quite informative. And I'm glad that you have given us a full perspective from Brooklyn to Hollywood. Because, a lot of us want to know certain things.
Yeah.
And you were so kind to reveal, obviously, a lot of people are talking about this J-Lo situation, which I want to get into. But you also tell us about the times when you first met Tupac and Sean Puffy. So let's go soft. So let's go, how was the experience when you first came and met Tupac?
We were kindred spirits. I understood that he was a dented can, and he understood that I was as well. And our intellect clicked.
Yeah.
Our passions clicked, and our temperament clicked.
Interesting.
So we never, ever got into a fight because we both knew that we could go there. But we both had great respect for each other. And we were both nerds and goofballs. That's a side that nobody talks about Tupac. He was funny. He was silly and funny and quite respectful, at least towards me.
Right.
And I loved our friendship. I loved it. And I know everyone asks me, especially on Twitter, did you have a thing with Tupac? And I say, no. And they say, well, what about that picture you're holding hands? That was all planned. Because actually I got stood up by somebody.
No.
Yes. How can someone stand me up?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Lenny.
I don't
That's
understand.
what I'm saying.
The guy wasn't from Brooklyn.
He was not from Brooklyn.
He wasn't, right?
No.
I know. That's why.
No. And Tupac was like, forget him. Let's make him jealous. Let's ride up in there. Plus, I want to meet Madonna. I was like, okay.
Let's do it.
And that's what we did.
It's fun times, baby. Fun times. And Puffy?
Puffy, I have great respect for.
Yeah.
Great respect for. I know people have their issues, what have you. But this man, talk about tenacity. He knew that he was going to be great. He dared to be great, and he became great. And I really respect him for that. I really do. And he told me. And in the beginning, he said, I am going to be a multimillionaire. I'm going to take over the record
He spoke
industry.
it into existence.
Yeah.
But you know what? You're a fighter, and on many levels. I mean, you've come through a lot, as we all have. Growing up in the hood and just growing up in Brooklyn, which is a state by itself, it's hard. And a lot of inner city youth don't come through with flying colors. They may not see that dream, but you saw a dream. You saw what you wanted to do as well. And I don't know if that, by you being around so many creative people, allowed you to, get into your creativity and bring that out. Because obviously, if we want to go back with your career a little bit, that Soul Train, you started first doing that for a minute. And then that opened up so many doors for you.
Right. Well, I even as a child, I thought I was special. And I say that with great humility. I thought I was supposed to contribute something special to the world. And I know everyone says, how did you feel that as a child? Well, when you come from great adversity, you are forced to think as an adult and as a form of protection. And I refused to have those limitations that were pressed upon me be a part of my life. I refused. And I refused to allow the abuse to keep me down. I had such a crazy spirit, even to the point of being annoying. Right. I refuse to be. You're going to deny me? I don't think so. And so that just carried over. And when I was in the home, the nuns also had great work ethics and structure. And my aunt, who finished raising me, she went to work every day except Sunday. She worked 3 jobs a day. She worked in those terrible factories in Bushwick that now all the hipsters live in. And I saw that. And when you see your parent, because she was my true mother, go to work every day, it becomes ingrained in your soul, and that's what you do.
Yeah, you see their grind, you see their determination as well.
Yes, yeah.
And you definitely have that seed in you, for sure. I know you've seen her dance, and I know you've seen her on the silver screen, but now she has definitely put thought to pen and pen to book, and came up with this wonderful book called Handbook of Unpredictable Life. And it is a very unpredictable life, as life is. But you are a survival of the fittest. And when did you have such an appreciation for boxing? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, with boxing, you have to have a great deal of determination. You have to have a great deal of strength to overcome obstacles, obviously, opponents. And obviously you've had a lot of opponents, obstacles that has, been in the early stages of your life. So when did you first fall in love with boxing?
I fell in love with boxing before I really understood the sport, and it's just a Puerto Rican thing as a child. Okay. Puerto Ricans, we love baseball, we love boxing. It's a true stereotype. Sorry,
Okay.
and for most of us, for the rest of all the Boricuas out there. But as I got older, I started to understand the sport. I started to understand what they call the sweet science, the skill of it. It is the basis of boxing is to hit and not get hit. And if you do get hit, you have to demonstrate great composure and power resistance. That was my whole life.
Yeah.
That was my whole life. Floyd Mayweather, I love Floyd Mayweather. He said one thing on one of his short documentaries leading up to a fight. He says, you know why I know I'm going to win? Belief, baby.
Wow.
I believe I'm going to win. Belief. And that's what I had too. And another thing about boxing that I love is that I love watching the boxers walk from the back into the stadium because I could determine almost all the time, not every time, who's going to win the fight.
Really?
Because when you walk in there, you're walking in with all this pressure, all the people staring at you and everything, and you have to step into the ring and you have to push through your fear and step into your greatness as a boxer. And what you realize, if you didn't prepare right, if you didn't condition correctly, you are going to be fighting yourself.
Wow.
That's going to be your true opponent. And that's what I had to learn in life. Those were my hard lessons. You know what I mean? And sometimes I didn't handle situations correctly. And it really wasn't me fighting with the other person. It was me fighting myself. And so when I see that fear or I see that lack of preparation in a box, I go, he's going to lose. He's going to lose the fight. Or when they walk in and they face each other, right there and then, it's like, who has the best character?
Yeah.
That's the person that's going to win the fight.
Can you look at confidence in a boxer's face and kind of also determine? Yes.
The type of fights that I enjoy the most is when you cannot figure them out. When they are so prepared and have their game face on, you can't figure it. When they stand toe to toe and they have that stare off when they're touching gloves, and your heart just pounds. You're like, oh my God, who's gonna win? I love it. It's exhilarating. And the skill of moving away from a punch. People underestimate that. They just want to see a slug a fight.
Slug fight, yeah.
But I really love watching that skill set.
You study? Have you ever decided to get into the ring and try it out?
Yes, and I didn't like getting punched, so I gave it up.
I don't blame you for that at all.
I studied martial arts for years in another form of fighting. I remember the first time I actually fought with somebody. This girl kicked my butt, and I cried like a B.I.T., and I was like, okay, I'll just go back to the forums and practicing my styles, But, when you get hit as a kid, why would you want to get hit as an adult? Me.
You don't. For me too.
And
man.
I didn't like it. Yeah.
One of the most talked about things that everyone is talking about is the J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez situation in you. Obviously, you met Jennifer Lopez when, and I guess an open call for In Living Color.
Yes.
Take us down that lane for a minute.
Before I say that, I want to say this. There are a lot of people that I talk about in the book.
Right.
There are a lot of people that I had grievances with, altercations with, and the reason why I mentioned them in the book, because also with Jamie Foxx, I didn't handle myself correctly. Sometimes with Keenan, sometimes with Woody, with Spike Lee, with Don Cornelius. And what I had to learn was that I had to take inventory and take responsibility. Whether I was right or wrong in the situation, it did not matter. What mattered was my emotional response in an adult manner.
Interesting.
And that's why I wrote about those things in the book. And those issues, those incidents, I should say, happened 20 years ago or, 15, 20, 25 years ago. I've been in the business over 25 years. Yeah. So it wasn't current as the tabloids tried to portray. And it's funny that they did that because in the book I said The only reason why, or if this fight is continuing, is mean, malicious people who get off on seeing other people hurt. And I said, we have both moved on from this and let it go. And, you know, and it's a beautiful thing. And I don't want to give it away what happened in the book, but, you know, I do want to say, I think it was despicable to pit two Latinas against each other in the press for sport, to sell newspapers, because that wasn't my intention whatsoever. I have great respect for all she has accomplished. She's a wonderful person in regards to what she contributes to pop music and all of that. And I just, it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate. And it was even more unfortunate that people believed yellow journalism. I thought that was. And it wasn't many, quite honestly. Right. It wasn't many. I got a lot of support. And people were like, we're going to wait and formulate our own opinions once we read the book. And I appreciated that. And
that's why I'm glad you came in tonight, to dispel all that bad media. And that's why I invite, guests like you to come by to just kind of put the real deal on the table. Because media has a tendency to disrupt and misconstrue and present certain things.
Sensationalize.
Exactly. But, by you coming in tonight, I think we're clear with that, and hopefully this will set the record straight as you move forward.